Hello, welcome to day 4 of 10 Days of Christmas Ornaments with Cynthialoowho 2022. Today's ornament, I love it so much. I love it so much. I can't wait to make it for you. Okay, so this is just touches my heart so much. I just love it. Do you love it? Look at this gorgeous lace. So this is a lace I found last year. I think I may have glued it on an ornament, but it is so beautiful on its own. It has to be its own ornament. Isn't it stunning, you guys? Oh my gosh. So I bought another yard of it. Just look at how gorgeous this is. And when I was trying to purchase it on Etsy, I knew that what I had was really sparkly, had lots of sequins, and I knew this was the same design, but I couldn't tell in the picture if it was sparkly, and when I got it I was like, yes, that is exactly what I wanted. So I will link this lace because it is stunning. You could also glue this on an ornament and embellish it. It's just so beautiful. Just to even have it, you know, you could like put this on a pillow. Oh, there's just so many things. But anyway, let's get to the ornament. So this one I kept pretty plain because it's so beautiful. It doesn't need any more. But you know me, I'm Cynthialoowho. I have to do some embellishing. So I left this one just like this. All I did was I cut 2 pieces of the lace. I added this fringe on the bottom. I used some I think these are size 11 seed beads, and then some plastic rice beads, some crystals, and then when I sewed both of them together, I used a bead, and I'm going to do that again today. But today I am going to use either these crystals to add a little color, or these ones. So, and then I just, right before I got done sewing the pieces together, I put a little bit of fiberfill in it and then added this. And although this does take some time, depending on how long you want your fringe on your ornament, and either way could be the front, they're both beautiful. But I'm going to be embellishing one side on this today. So I'm going to get my beads ready and I will be right back. Okay, so I've gathered my beads. I have pink crystals, plastic rice bead, pearls, some gold size 11 seed beads, pink size 11 seed beads, and then I have this beading needle that I'm going to use for the fringe, and then this needle, it is a beading needle but it's a little bit thicker, and I'm going to use that for when I attach the front to the back. So on the lace, you got to figure out where you want to cut it at. So on this first one, you can see I cut right around there and around there, and I still have this right here. So this time I'm thinking I'm going to leave this edge on. So I'm going to cut right there, just because I want to see what it looks like, because I cut that off last time. So last time I cut down here and around. And now, and you want 2 of these. And it kind of sucks that we have to cut that off, but you can keep that for something else. If you've ever like used appliques for anything, you know you can use that piece for something. Set this aside. I will find this lace and link it for you. And the pink beads and the gold beads that I have, those gold beads gotta be 20 years old, but the pink ones are new. Those came in a set of seed beads that I got. So there's front and back. You want to take a lighter, very fast. You don't want any brown marks, but you just want to get rid of that netting very fast. If you leave it on too long, it will turn brown, and that's ugly. We don't want brown. But it's just to kind of seal and get rid of that netting. Just like that, real quick, all the way around. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add all the fringe. And then I'm going to attach the front to the back and add beads while I'm attaching it. Okay, there we go. If you see any brown where it like singed a little bit, cut it off. Okay, so I'm going to start with this one, and I'm going to do the fringe. Let's see, so when you do fringe, you can just do this part if you want, just this part, whatever you want to do. I went from here all the way around, and I think that that's plenty. I don't think any more is needed. You don't even have to do fringe. You can totally just glue this on this and stuff it a little bit, and you've got a beautiful ornament. It's up to you, whatever you want to put into it. So I have some beading thread. Get a good amount, but not too much to where it knots up on me. And I just twist it like that and pull. There you go. Okay. Now I am going to start, I'm going to start right here. And I want it on the very edge, so you can see that there's a line that kind of goes around this. And I want to go right on the inside of that little line. Just right on the inside of that. And now let's figure out what we want to do for fringe. So I think I want to do, oh, let's see, probably 5, 10. I like to do the bottom part longer, so I do the top part shorter. So I'll do, I think I did 14 on the other one. 5, 10. Okay, so since there's 14 on there, I'm just going to stick with 14. 14, and then I'm going to do a gold bead, a plastic rice pearl, a crystal, and then another gold bead. And that will have just that little accent of gold. And then when I do attach these and I use the beading around the edge like that, I'm going to use the gold. So for your fringe, you put however many beads you want. Then you're going to go around your very bottom, that little teeny bead. You're going to go around that, and then you're going to go back up through all the beads, just like that. That's why we put that little bead on the bottom, because that's going to be what stops it from just going all the way through. So you go around that very bottom little bead. And this can be, oh, tedious, but it's worth it, because when you get done and you see all your beautiful fringe, it's gorgeous. So now take your needle, and as your thread twists, it will twist up because of just from beading. Put your needle down on this side and just let it unravel. So I'm going to go back through I may need to move my camera because it looks like I'm going up to the top left of the frame. And then I'm going to go back to the front where I want my next fringe to go. So about 1/8 of an inch away from the first one. And then if I feel like there's too big of a space, I'll just go back through with my thread and add another fringe. It's just really, really simple. There's no science to it. The only thing that you have to make sure you have is that bottom bead, and you keep your design. You want to keep the same fringe. Like on one I accidentally put the crystal first, then the pearl, and I'm like, oh no, I have to go back through and fix that. So that's not fun. 10, 14, wow. Okay, then another gold, then a pearl, and I will try to link all of these for you. I wanted this one to have a little bit more color and a little bit more boom. Okay, so now we've got that, and I'm going to go around the bottom gold bead and go into the crystal and go all the way up through every bead. Pull my thread and see how it starts to, if I had thread conditioner on it, it would be a lot nicer, but it kind of starts to try to twist up, so I try to prevent that as best I can. And then I'm going to go back through where I came out on the applique. And there we go, we have 2 fringes. I'm going to go about 1/8 of an inch away, go back up. And this does have sequins, so you just want to make sure that you go underneath, kind of around it. And I know you guys aren't going to want to sit here and watch me do all this fringe, so I'll do one more, and then I will come back when I get to the longer ones and show you how I do those. And this, it's just one of those little like puffy, velvety type of mats that you can use for beading or other things. 10, 14, and I keep with the same amount of beads, so it just follows the design of the applique. So a gold, a pearl, a crystal, then a gold. I really do love the pink and the gold accent on this. Then I'm going to go back around the gold and up through the crystal, pearl, and all the other beads. So if, you know, you have a couple of days where you're just, the weather isn't so good, you can just sit on the couch, watch a movie, and do some beading. Make sure that when you're beading, you're holding stuff out of the way, because your thread will catch on everything. And it gets a little annoying. There we have 3 of them. So I'm probably going to start the longer fringe when I get down to these little loops. Maybe this one. I'm going to go from here to here, then I'm going to cut down here, because there's no reason to put it. There's no reason to put fringe on this area, because it's just going to look wonky. It's not going to look good. So wherever it looks like it's going to lay nice and straight, I'm going to go back. I'm going to go down to here, start here, and then go down. So I'll get you back when I get right here. Okay. Okay, so I've gotten to the point where I am down here, and I'm going to do the longer fringe. So I just wanted to point out that you will need to go in between the design That's where this one is. And it's still easy, and it will bring it up a little bit higher, but it's just following that design. So now that I'm down onto this where I want to make the fringe longer, I'm going to do, instead of 14 pink seed beads, I'm going to do 20. And I'm going to do 20 all the way around to here, and then I'm going to pop back up here and go back to the 14. Then, when I get done with that, I'm going to bring these two together and start attaching it with a bead. But, well, and then I switched my needles because it's just so much easier for me to work with a smaller, shorter needle. I feel like I have more, I don't know. But sometimes a bead will not fit. 5, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Sometimes a bead will not go over, just like that. Well, that one did. So I have, what was that count? 6. Sorry, I gotta count. There's 6, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16, 19, 20. So now I'm going to do 20. Grab a gold. Then a rice pearl. Crystal. Then a gold. So that just makes it 6 beads longer than the other ones, and I think it makes for a nice look. So now that I'm using my smaller needle, I can't go through all the beads, but I feel like I have more control with the shorter needle. That's just me. Going back up through. That one bead where it caught is going to try to catch again because it was tight, but since it went through, it will go through. Just got to give it a little muscle. Nice and tight, and then I'm going to go back through. And that will show the difference of the length of the fringe. And then I'll probably do one, let's see, I'm going to look at the other one. So, yeah, I did 2 off of that one. So I'm going to do that again. Put 1. I want to get as close to the edge as I can without getting on the unfinished edge. So I like to get it right inside that line right there. Okay, then 20. Okay, 20, gold one, rice pearl, crystal, and gold. Around the gold, up through the crystal, and the rest of the beads. And because it's a shorter needle, I can't go all the way up. If I was using my longer needle, I could go all the way up. And with this longer fringe, I may switch back. And these will pull down after all the fringe is done and the weight gets to them. Just at first, they may like kink and look a little jaggedy, but they will work themselves out. I'm going to go back down through where I came up, and I hold all the fringe out of the way because it will catch. It will catch, and that is frustrating. So it looks like right here, this part of the lace is actually kind of sealed. So if I do want to go outside onto that part, it's sealed, so it's not going to come undone. So I'm going to switch needles to the longer one just for the longer fringe. And then I think it's probably about, I think I did 2 per loop, so you can see, like, if you can count those as loops or circles. And then I did 1 in between here, 2, and so you just want to look at how it's going to lay, where you're going to need another fringe, and then if you do one and it looks like there's too big of a space, just go back between those 2. No need to take your beads off, just go back between it and do another fringe. Oi, come on now. No time for this. No time for this. Gotta get to work. Alright, I'm gonna have to cut it. There. And I'm gonna let my needle kind of hang and untwist my thread a little bit, because I don't like it twisting up while I'm trying to bead. So sometimes just hang it over, let it unravel. Okay, and then 20. Six, 10, 13. 17, 18, 19. Sometimes you got to put the plastic pearl on because it will be, one end might be painted over, or whatever that is that they put on the pearls. And I'm probably going to have to get some new thread here soon. But that's okay because we can knot it in the back, and that's going to be inside the pillowy stuff. Okay, I'm going to go back down. And I'm going to do one right here. Next one's right there. I'm going to do one more fringe with the longer, and then I will come back when all the fringe is done. And when you're doing your fringe, kind of hold the bottom bead and give it a little tug. You don't want it too tight so that it gets like kinked up, but you don't want it to hang loose either. So you be the judge. And then just look at where you think the next one would be. So I'm going to go straight into this next loop and do another one right here. Perfect. Okay, I'm going to finish all this fringe, and then this is going to be the back. So the fringe is going to show like this. Well, like this. Okay, so I'll finish the fringe and I will be back. Okay, I have all of the beading done that I would like to do. You can take yours all the way from this side all the way around. You can do whatever you want. Put your fringe where you want it. So now that I have that finished, I still have my thread connected, because now I'm going to take the wrong side and the wrong side of the next piece and put them together. And I am going to start sewing them together and adding a bead along the edge. So let's go. So I'm just going to, I can see where that last one, so I'm going to go through here. And I actually think I'm going to be more comfortable with going this way. So I'm going to come out right here. Okay. And then I'm going to stop a little bit about right here so I can put a little bit of stuffing in it, just to puff it up a little bit. I'm going to grab a bead, go right next to it, and I'm using the gold. I ended up with 32 fringe, so that means that I ended up with using 32 crystals and 32 of the rice pearls. Just going to sew right next to that. So all along here there's going to be a bead on the edge. And it's very nice that this lace does line up pretty spot on. So you may need to pull a little piece or move a little piece, but then once you add the stuffing, it doesn't really show. Like I'll show you on this one. So I had to pull a little bit, so this is trying to twist a little bit this way, but once you put the stuffing in, it's definitely not as noticeable. So I'm going to go all the way around all of the edges, adding a bead, a gold bead, for just that really pretty accent. And then in some areas I'm not going to add a bead, like right in here. There's no place to really add a bead there. I'm just trying to close it. I'm not going to add a bead here either because I have a bead right there. Now I will add a bead. My thread's on the tripod. Okay, and I'm going to try to use a little bit of beefier beads and not use the thinner ones as much. And so this is going to be the front. So I want the beads a little bit that way, but I'm not going to, it's pretty much doing it on its own the way that I am sewing it. So I'm really not having to push it over to the side much. It's just going right where I want it. So I am going to go all along both pieces, making sure that they line up with the gold beads and not adding gold beads where they're not needed and they're not going to be seen, or it's going to make them squish up too much. And so I'm going to continue this until I get to about right here where I'm going to start putting the stuffing in. And that is what we're doing, just adding the bead and closing it up. So I'll be back when I get about right here. Of course, when I get, just so you know, when I get to this point right here, I will not be adding gold beads along here. You can if you want, but I'm not going to be adding any beads on that area. That's, see, I stopped, so I just added the beads along the edge from there to there. Okay, so I wanted to show you while I was beading, I'm not bleeding. While I was beading, I don't think I'm bleeding. No. To add your little, or the loop to hook it onto your tree. So when I got to the middle, I'm just beading along a long string to hang it on my tree. So right there, I'm just pausing the closure and beading and adding my beads on to make the little loop to hang on the tree. And I don't know how many it's going to take. I'm just going to string on a bunch until it looks like it's enough to hang it on the tree. I could be real decorative with this and add a bunch of crystals, but I think that the gold is just enough. So I'm probably going to make it about 5 inches long, and then I'm going to bring it back down through, close that up, and then continue closing with the beads. And this is how far I have gotten with the beads. And I will be back when I get down here. Okay, so I have gotten to the point where it is time for stuffing. So after I beaded, oh, what way was I beading? I was beading this way. So after I beaded to here, I had to get new thread. And instead of continuing on that way, I went to where I started, which is right here, and I went this way around, so it left my opening up here. And I know before I said that I wasn't going to add beads around this area, but I decided to do it because why not? So I've got all the gold beads all the way around, and now it's time to put a little bit of stuffing in here. Not a lot, just enough to just give it some dimension. That's it. That's all I need. So I got my fiber fill. I'm using Polyfill Ultra Plus fiber fill. I've had it for a very long time. Excuse me. It's not going to take a lot. And you can add like essential oils, little downy beads, stuff like that in here if you want it to smell good. And I'm just putting enough to give it some dimension. I absolutely love that I kept these on this time. I think it just makes the detail even nicer. So I am glad I left those on there. I'm just gonna puff it up a little bit. I was also looking at it, of course, because sometimes you just want to do more and more and more, and I thought, how beautiful would it be to add gold beads here around to add a little bit more detail, right? But I don't know. That's going to be a lot more work, and we got to get done with 4 so I can get on with 5. I need a little bit more. I don't want to stuff it too tight because I just think it's going to take away from, you know, the edges. The more that you stuff it, the bigger and the tight, and it's going to make it smaller. It's going to make it bigger this way, but it's going to make it smaller this way, and I don't want it to be real small. Just a tiny bit more. And then I'm going to continue beading and close this side off. So I'm going to just continue the beads around the edge and sewing it closed. Keeping the thread far away from those, the fringe. Looks like my thread got twisted up while I was waiting to get back here. I'm going to set this over here on the edge to get this untwisted. It looks like something happened with my needle. Did it? No. It was just twisted. Okay, I'm going to let it spin freely. Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to continue adding the beads, closing up this side, and then I will come back, and I want to add a little heart in the center, and I'm going to pull it so it kind of tufts it. I don't know what it's called, but we're going to say tuft it. It's going to tuft it. So I'll be back. Okay, it is all sewed up. I love it so much. It's so pretty. Here's the other one. It almost reminds me of an angel wings. Okay, so now I have a needle and thread, and I have my little crystal heart right here. So I am going to go through the back, and there's a little sequin there. I want to go through that sequin because I want it to hold my knot really secure. I really want this in the coming out that sequin. You know, when you got a plan, You know what you want it to do. I'm going to give it a little tug, make sure it's strong in there. I'm going to add my heart crystal, making sure that the Aurora Borealis is on the back. And then I'm going to go back down through that sequin. Doesn't really matter on the back where I go through. It's not a big deal. That's cute. That's cute. I'm going to give it a quick knot to hold it because I want it to hold it like that where it's like tufted. I got to untwist my thread. So I'm going to pull it a little bit tight. And I'm just going to tie a couple of knots. Just a couple so it holds it nice and tight. There's my day 4 ornament. I'm so happy with it. Make sure you guys stay tuned for the photo show after this. So thank you so much for joining me for day 4. Please come back for day 5. Subscribe, like this video, and share this video with your friends. I love you all. God bless. Mwah. Merry Christmas. Bye.